Hey guys, how we doing? It's Vinder, and I've got something a little bit different for you today. I have a sample numerology reading, which I think will be very interesting. So not everyone knows that I do this. I have been doing this for about 10 years. It's just something that is offered as in addition to things like this, personal development coaching that I do, the meditation teaching that I do, and then I do things like numerology. And I think the question is why? Because I come to everything with a bit of a, well, I would say kind of a vaguely amateurish scientist attitude. I'm not a real scientist by trade or training, but science is a way of thinking about things. And you've got two different areas, and I'll credit Stephen Fry for putting this binary on my radar, which is logical and empirical. So empirical would be things like, oh, I don't know, like that movie The Gods Must Be Crazy when they found the Coca-Cola can in the middle of the African savannah, stuff like that. It's there, you can see it, it's not in question whether this thing exists or not, but there's no logical reason why it works or why it's there. Numerology is like that. Numerology is like that. It's not logical, it's empirical. It works. I can't tell you why numerology works. Do I doubt that it works? No. Am I concerned that I can't explain it logically? No. Because just like if you found that bottle of Coca-Cola in the middle of the African savannah, just because you didn't see it fall out of that airplane doesn't mean that you're not really seeing it. There's just no way you can explain it. You shouldn't try to make up an explanation because you will be wrong because you don't have enough information. So I won't try to tell you why numerology works. I'll just tell you that it does. Just like those guys out there on the savannah should have just been content with the fact that they just found this thing, and that was the end of that. But that would make for a very good movie. And I'm not trying to make for a good movie. I'm trying to make for intellectual honesty. So whether that was necessary for you or not to hear me go through that disclaimer, I feel like I owe you that much. I think I owe my logical mind that much. So, without further ado, yeah, you know what? Should I show this to you? Here we go. This is what I'm looking at. Okay, if you don't do what I do, that doesn't really tell you anything. But that is what I'm looking at. So when I look at these things, this is all motivated by the sentiment that love is clarity. That love is what's worth giving. Love is what is worth spreading around. And what love really means is to show someone that you understand them. To show someone that they are understandable. To help them get some clarity on themselves. To give them space to be who they really are. And making people feel understood and seen and heard for who they are is a really kind way of giving someone space to be themselves, because they know that you get them and they know that they're safe to be who they are around you. So that's why I like things like numerology. Numerology will do more than that too. It'll really help you get some clarity on yourself. But just to get into it, so I look at this and what I see, and I'm just going to kind of go through it. I'm not going to reference the numbers that much. I'm just going to sort of say what the chart says to somebody who's been doing this for a long time, which is what I see is somebody who is connected to concepts, principles, ideals, ideas, values, and virtues before they're connected to people, places, and things. And there are a lot of good things about that. There are a lot of complicated things about that. You can smooth out the complicated part, but we got to be straightforward about all of it, right? So the good parts of it, I think, are somewhat self-evident. Is that you come into this world without this propensity for compromise on your ideals. You come in with this almost cellular memory of what energy felt like before it had to express itself through matter. And there's such a thing as just pure energy, and eventually it gets funneled into time, space, matter, and causation. And then you have all this stuff, right? You've got the whole world at that point. And ideas don't just manifest themselves from a place of total purity. They have to be translated through that fourfold filtration system of time, space, matter, and causation. Well, when you have the makeup of this person, you are just tuned into the ideas and the energy and the concepts and the values and the virtues and the principles and ideas. And this world just never measures up. Other people don't measure up. Relationships don't measure up. And most unfortunately, it's probably rare that you ever measure up to your own standards, which is unfortunate, like I said. Because, well, I'll come back to why. I just don't think it's ever a good idea to hold on to a mentality that makes things not good enough. But it's understandable why you have that, because again, there's this connection to an intuitive dimension. I don't mean dimensions like where the aliens come from or something like that. I mean the strata in your consciousness where you're receiving your intuition from, right? And that's not about deduction from the observable universe. It's just pure knowledge. And when you have that going on in your life, then it's really hard to reconcile yourself to the inadequacies of the world, because things aren't just so clean and straightforward. And you're always trying to lift up your life to the level of these abstracted ideals that you are coming in with. And so instead of coming in and lowering your standards, you're coming in and looking at the world going, how can we get this up here? And that's a beautiful thing. What that does for you is that gives you a connection where you're always looking for what's beyond, beyond, beyond. You're looking for essences beyond appearances. You can see them, you can feel them, you're always pulled towards them. Like it says in the book, I am that. Whatever you encounter, go beyond. And that's really, I think, in a lot of ways how you live your life. What goes along with that is this, what's called the archetype of the nurse, which you have, which is the part of you that will just give and give and give and give with no thought for yourself. And that's a tricky one. It's a tricky one when you also have this intuitive connection to this pure energy plane where you never match up to what you know you're capable of and who you could be, and you're also just trying to give as much as you can all the time. And that can be a burnout mechanism or a burnout waiting to happen. And you can tell me if that's happened to you or not. I imagine that it has. I imagine that it has happened more than once because it's a part of your wiring. But instead of feeling down about yourself for being that way, look at where that's coming from. Where that's coming from is you really, really care about other people. You really are in it for the right reasons. You are a nurturer. You are kind-hearted. You have a sense of right and wrong and justice and how people should be treated. And you place a really high value on kindness and gentleness and being loving and being nurturing. So just make sure that what you believe is so worth giving to others that you give to yourself first. Why is that not selfish? Well, Oscar Wilde said that doing what you want with your life is not selfish. Expecting others to do what you want with their life is what is selfish. So the thing is, if you don't heal yourself first, if you don't supply your own needs to yourself, from within yourself first, then it's a bit like having a light bulb burned down in your house and giving a new light bulb to everybody you meet. They're not the one who needs the light bulb. You're the one with the light bulb burned down in your house. So you can give everybody a light bulb that might seem weird to them anyway. It also won't make your house any brighter when you get back. And it's also luck of the draw if they need one or not, because you don't know if they need one or not. You're trying to give to others what you didn't get. And that's very noble in a lot of ways, but think about it. You're giving them what you need. You should either give them what they need or give you what you need. Right? I mean, that makes sense. So how do you get an accurate read on what other people need? by serving your own needs first. Serving your own needs first, not because you don't care about them, because you do care about them. Because if you take care of your needs first, you will not project yours onto them. You will not be trying to work out your unfulfilled needs through them. And that means you can see them for who they really are. You can see them for who they really are, so you really actually get an idea of what they do and don't need, and from whom, and in what way, and for what reason, which are important things, right? You're able to because you're not looking for a chance to work out your own needs subconsciously, and you also have more energy because you've what? Served your needs. So you're not only blinded by this preoccupation with your own healing, you're also sort of rebuilt from having healed yourself. You're stronger and you're more clear-headed. That's why you have to do what's right for you. And I would say that means slow down. And why am I focusing on this so much? Because you have this very high standard and this very elevated picture of life and of yourself, and you're always striving for it, and that seems to manifest itself through this identification with giving and serving and being loving and nurturing and kind and compassionate and gentle and supportive. See what happens if you make yourself the target of all that. Then what happens is the way you give to others will just find its way. You're not looking for people to give to. You're not looking to give what you in fact need. You're just full of good energy, and what happens is people will cross your path and they'll get whatever they need from you if you were the one to give it to them in the first place. And you won't have to even be conscious of the fact that it's taking place, which is almost like double-blind anonymous giving, right? You don't know who you're giving it to. They don't know that you're getting it. They don't know they're getting it from you either. There's just this exchange happening, and there's a sense of wholeness that dawns on both people later, which is really the only clean way to do it. Not that it's unclean when you do it the other way, but there's a cleaner way. The other thing about this chart is that people see you as a bit of a visionary in a way. People see you as someone who can see things that they can't see. How's that for a mouthful of a sentence? When people look at you, they know that your eyes see further than theirs. So if people are intimidated by you, that would be the reason. If people trust you, if they respect you, if they admire you, that would be the reason. It's their immediate impression of you. But what that obscures about you, that one characteristic we call the projection. It's a projection of mastery. You project that you have a level of mastery or a very penetrating kind of insight into the nature of your reality. What that obscures about you to others is the extent to which you actually dive in and live life and feel things viscerally, in your body. You're not just sort of gazing into the beyond from the top of an ivory tower. No, you have lived life, and you have something called the archetype of the wounded teacher, which is like saying that you have learned through experience. Some of those experiences have been very harsh. I would say you've learned the hard way. That doesn't mean you're stubborn or unable to learn. It means that has been the hand you've been dealt in many ways, which I'm sure of. And what that has done for you is you're able to empathize and to feel real compassion for others, because I would imagine that you have really seen what the opposite of loving, nurturing, compassionate, kind, gentle life and treatment and relationships feels like, and I think you want no part of it. You've seen the opposite of all those things, and it hurts, and you have felt that hurt, and you can recognize when others are going through it, and it makes you uniquely available to show them that you see them, that you hear them, and that you are there for them, and that you know what it feels like to be them because you have been them too. And that's also why it's the number of the teacher. Because when you have been through it, when you see someone going through it now, well, who's more qualified to help? Which is exactly why healing yourself first has to really become something that you focus on. Because you have a lot to give. Your role as a giver and as a leader and as someone who is going to empower and guide others is just right there on the paper. And that will always be manifesting itself at a kind of 50 to 75% capacity until your own healing becomes something that you are really invested in, and that you really drop this idea of it being selfish for the reasons I explained before. And if that's not clear, just go back and rewind it. But the quick summary is you will actually have that razor's edge discernment on the needs of others once yours are fulfilled, because you can't help but seek to fulfill your needs until they're fulfilled. They're needs, they're not wants, they're not luxuries, they're not, plasma or HD. Plasma or HD. It's needs are needs. And we have lots of complex needs. But this is not frivolous. This is not flippant. You got to do this for yourself. The other thing that I would say, and I think I'm going to kind of sort of finish this off in a moment, because these can go on for a long time. But the need to be able to speak your truth, the need to be able to say exactly what you feel, not with no regard for others, you won't do that. You're too wired as a nurturer and a caretaker in some ways to really ever be this just strident person. But you need to be able to speak your truth. You need to be able to say what you see the way you see it. And that, you could say that's true of everybody. It's true of you because you're seen as that visionary person who can see farther than the others around you. You have the experience, that wounded teacher archetype. You are coming from a place of a very high intuitive connection to more like this. You see the world as a kind of a collage of archetypes. So you see the forest through the trees, if you will. And where you're coming from is a will to nurture and to support and to be loving and compassionate. So it needs to come out. That awareness, that speaking your truth in the moment has to come out. It has to. So if you're in a relationship where you can't do that, get out. If you're in a job where you can't do that, get out. If you're in a place where you can do those things and it's you that's stopping you, recognize that you are needed. You are needed in that way. Your voice carries a tremendous power with it because of all those things I just said. Ultimately, what your life is kind of carrying you towards from one moment to the next is this notion of being a light unto yourself. Not tormented by the inadequacies of the world or of other people or of yourself, but a self-illumined kind of person. Somebody who is just complete and is just radiating their energy outwardly and healing and transforming and getting the subtle information wherever they go. And you will become available to that when you can make peace with this life. The way you make peace with this life is to develop a subtler kind of perception. And I'm pulling this right out of your chart. This isn't just general Jasvinder advice. Everything I'm saying is actually like right off the page. Okay, I'm not correlating each piece of advice to your chart. That's why it sounds like general advice. But this is what I'm doing. Going deeper into things, seeing past the surface. When life feels incomplete or flawed, it's because you are looking at it in an incomplete way. When you feel like this world of pure energy is being stifled and stunted by time, space, matter, and causation, what you are failing to see is that energy and matter are engaged in an ecstatic dance, where they are being inextricably intertwined with each other until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. And that's beautiful, and that's mysterious, and that's humbling, and that will keep you aware, and it will keep you engaged and present. Because conceptual ideas are out there, right? The world is here. The physicality of it is here. Be here. Don't be out there. You're already channelizing, right? From there, in here, out there, or from the heart, actually. So don't worry about trying to get up there. You already have this, Santa Claus has already come down the chimney, like it's time to open the presents. How about that? So, and the other way you do that is you continue to speak your truth. You continue to sharpen the sword of your voice, because the more you do that, well, you have to do it for you, but that's how you become that self-contained light unto yourself. Is you allow the continuum of intake and output. Well, I hope that is useful. And guys, let me know if you enjoyed this. This is my first crack at posting something like this, but I think this is cool stuff. I think this gives you a sense of what a conversation like this could resolve for you. If you're hearing this and you're going, huh, okay, maybe I need some of that going on. So, like I said, I do numerology readings like this. I do private coaching. I teach meditation. As far as the self-development world, that's basically what I do. So wherever you saw this video, there was a way to comment. If you want to get in touch with me, it's very easy to do. Just comment wherever you found this video. And also, if this served you, of course, share it around, because it would be illogical to assume that you're the only person who would connect with this. So if you did, probably people that you know will connect with it as well. Guys, thanks again. And my name is Jasvinder, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.